Sorry about that. Delayed start. My bad. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast, covering the Chargers for Blue Wire Network. Coming to you live after the Chargers' victory over the Miami Dolphins and Emmanuel Acho's clown ass as well. So excited to dive into all this with my guys. Alex is out sick tonight, so Arjun is joining us again for 2 days in a row for just a little bit. Got to go do some PFF coverage as well, but Arjun, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight, man. How are you doing?
It's vindication. That's the best word. Where, again, the whole lead up to as a winner, Tua's overcome all of these obstacles. You know, there's no excuses, right, for Justin Herbert. He's going up against an injured Dolphins defense. The Chargers defense is more injured than the Dolphins defense. Like Tua's going to put up a big game. Herbert, I think, had the best QB performance I've watched this year. And I obviously, I probably have some bias saying that, but I legit thought he was perfect outside of one bad sack on the Eric Rowe blitz and one bad throw. It's tough to really fault him at all this game. And again, when we talk about this team would sink without Justin Herbert, I literally mean this team would sink without Justin Herbert. The defense had a great game plan, but the offense would not have been able to move the ball if Herbert wasn't almost perfect with his pocket movement, perfect with his throws. It was the culmination of everything we've talked about that Herbert is great at, put on one game for everyone to see, for the whole nation to see. And that was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we said yesterday, or you said yesterday, right? Like this needed to be similar to the Bengals game heading into last year, where it was very obvious who was the better quarterback of the two. And I think we absolutely had that resolution tonight. If anybody doubted the facts of who is better tonight, I mean, Tua goes 10 for 25 for 145 yards and a touchdown, which Michael Davis tripped on Tyreek Hill's feet. So I don't know how much stock you really put into that. Justin Herbert goes 39 for 51, 367 yards and the touchdown. So obviously we were left a little meat on the bone on offense. We'll certainly dive into that, but just an incredible, frankly, masterclass from Justin Herbert. And I thought that he was fantastic tonight. So Tyler is here as well, man. Tyler coming live from the family's living room, doing the show in the midst of a move. So appreciate you taking the time to join us as well tonight. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. The move's going very well, but yes, I'm over here in the dining room of my parents' house to, A, watch the game and then B, stream right afterwards. And I'll tell you what, man, I got plenty of extra boxes if Emmanuel Acho needs help moving or clearing out his desk. I got a couple of boxes and some tape if you need some help there. Now, I hate to say that, we needed this and that we won, but I really feel like we needed this and that we won tonight because there was not a whole lot of logic going into this game of why the Chargers could pull this off, especially with all the injuries and the last-minute injuries. It's like, okay, defense isn't great as is. Offense has not been clicking. Defense loses Derwin James, Sebastian Joseph Day, Bryce Callahan, and it's like you just kind of felt like we knew where this story was going. But plot twist, the Chargers came out both on defense and on offense, and they did enough, and the defense certainly did more today. But Justin Herbert, man, like there's nothing about the play calls really that suggested that this was something that they were able to put together because of Joe Lombardi, outside of a great Wildcat call, which I didn't see coming. Yeah, I didn't expect the Wildcat option or whatever to be run by Eckler there, but that was great. But you could just see Herbert playing off script and doing different things, pressure in his face. I don't think the pressures from last week to this week were really all that different. It felt like almost as many pressures, although some of that was kind of by design on the rollouts. But like you said, nearly a perfect game, phenomenal game. One of my favorites I've seen him, and really just considering, I know he's not on social media or not all that much. I know he doesn't really care, but considering all the narratives heading into this game, whether he cared or not, like he did kind of need this for his outlook in the NFL and for him to put up the performance that he did and just show what it really looks like when you're a superior class of quarterback. It was outstanding, phenomenal. I know there's only one touchdown there, but he played far, far better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of think somebody was like talking to him about, all the narratives that were happening because, I mean, we saw several instances of which, he was just like so fired up, and we don't really see that. We've seen that from big plays, obviously, but like even the Keenan Allen conversion where he pinned that shit right on Keenan Allen's chest.
God.
It was just a piss missile. And you see Justin get up and point right at Keenan and yell at him. We don't really see that from Justin.
He did a first down finger point also.
Yeah,
the scramble.
That's what I was gonna say next. We see the old Phillip Rivers first down finger point, which I thought was awesome. So I don't know if people were like in his ear talking about it, but we definitely saw a lot more emotion from Justin Herbert tonight. And I don't know if this was necessarily what I would say his best game, but I think it's probably my favorite game of his.
I
career,
100% agree.
Just because of like everything that is happening. You're talking about 2 backup tackles. I mean, Christian Wilkins was destroying them, and it wasn't just Zion. Obviously, people were mentioning me and saying that it was Zion. He was beating Corey Linsley on some plays. He was beating Foster Sorrell at some plays too. I mean, Jalen Phillips had like 3 sacks, and just taking a beating as he has done, and just standing in there making consistent throws. We finally saw him kind of be able to uncork a deep pass to Mike Williams. So yeah, I think we've seen better performances from Justin Herbert, but I think this is probably my favorite one of his career so far.
Yeah, it's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. It's tough because he's got so many gosh darn great performances, but
yeah,
there are so many performances that he's had where he also wasn't able to cap it off with the win. Not even his fault.
That's very true.
This one just finishing out with the win just makes it very complete. And yeah, some social media stuff for us kind of makes it my favorite as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right, Steven. There might be better tape from Herbert. I personally think this was Herbert's best game just because he sustained high volume, threw for a ton of yards, and again, didn't make one mistake didn't make one turnover worthy play, didn't have one ball where I was like, okay, maybe you should have had that back. I still think, despite all of that, he was still hampered by play calling. The amount of third down screens in this game was too much. At times, I can understand running a screen when everyone's playing off the line of scrimmage. They're running screens on 3rd and 2, on 4th and 2. It's just like, again, I think Herbert overcame a lot of that, and I still think the play calling could have been better. Obviously, it's tough to criticize anything after a loss, but yeah, I think it still felt like a conservative performance. That Herbert just was elite in almost every aspect.
Yeah, no, I think people will be okay with us criticizing Joe Lombardi tonight. I mean, I thought the screen call on like the 3rd and it was like 3rd and 20 in the red zone where Eckler ended up taking it to the 1.
Sure.
I thought that was really smart. Dolphins clearly playing for the sticks, playing at the end of the end zone line. I thought that was a really smart screen call. But there were at least 5 times in the red zone where, you're asking Justin Herbert to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, it just was so frustrating every time they got down there, just the conservative nature of it. And really outside of the Mike Williams touchdown, that was the only throw at the end zone. And, having that kind of approach with Justin Herbert just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, of course, DeAndre Carter probably scores that touchdown if he doesn't slip, and you can make that argument. But on 4th down, you're throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. They kept on doing that all night. So I agree. You absolutely, had some meat left on the bone from the play calling, and, Justin Herbert overcoming that to the tune that he did. I mean, you're talking about 102 passer rating tonight from Justin Herbert. Just thought that he was incredible, masterclass performance. And this is really the first time that we've seen him put together a complete performance like that really all season. And, I don't think it's any coincidence that this was the first game that the Chargers' main 3 receivers were finally all on the field together and started and finished the game.
Yeah, you want some more throws to the end zone? Donald Parham's probably coming back next week, and I'm sure that's going to help 1 or 2 plays. If again, cross your fingers on that one. But almost had another one if the illegal snap did not exist. I'm still unsure. He had two guys were going to score. It was pick your poison on that one. I think Josh Palmer was the one wide open, and then someone else underneath. Couldn't tell you why that's illegal or not. We're getting a lot of people saying it's not your fault in the chat. Hey, I appreciate the engagement, but let's let's keep it open for other people.
I think, again, part of the O-line or the red zone stuff is like, it didn't seem like Lombardi had any faith in his offensive line, hence the screen calls, hence the quick passes. I loved the play action stuff today. I thought the play action package was near where I kind of wanted it. I think a lot of it was still like a lot of like 5-yard outs on Herbert's back foot to the sideline, but that's also because Dolphins had a free rusher, but that's also why Keenan Allen was open. But it's kind of shown that this offensive line sucks. Obviously this is a tough matchup for them with Phillips and Chubb and Ingram. And I mean, Christian Wilkins after Herbert was the best player on that field, in my opinion. That guy was a straight animal today. But they're Foster Sorrell is getting to Storm Norton levels where I don't know what he's good at. Yeah. At least Storm Norton at times could move guys in the run. Even Sorrell can't do that. And Steven, you weren't there for the analytics episode, but when I was talking with Alex, the one thing I said is the Chargers should not be running up the middle because that's where the Dolphins run defense had the most success. I said running outside left or outside right was, a better option. And they ran it up the middle 3 times on the first drive for 2 yards or something. So again, at times I didn't really get the game plan. I didn't like the screen games, but I thought the play action game, moving Herbert in the pocket, those aspects were pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you take this exact game plan and just copy paste it against the Raiders, you probably win that game too. So, Joe Lombardi deserves a little bit of praise. I mean, he wasn't atrocious tonight. So good job. You did the bare minimum tonight. So appreciate him, allowing Justin Herbert to get out of the pocket and do some play action and things like that. And Herbert was lethal on play action tonight. And again, as Arjun has always pointed out, you don't have to be an effective run team to be an effective play action team, as we blatantly saw tonight. Although the Chargers did have some very crucial rushing plays on that very last drive, including the Wildcat package, like Tyler mentioned, and then obviously that 12-yard run from Austin Eckler. So again, offensive game plan definitely left a lot of meat on the bone, but it was definitely better than it was last week. All right, before we move on here, have a bunch of super chats. You guys are lighting up tonight, so appreciate that. First and foremost from Ross, much earlier in the show. Miami Dolphins, what happened to I love that meme that goes around. I don't know who that guy is, but it's fantastic content. And shout out to Ross for the super chat.
He's a TikTok guy.
He's not a Utah guy. I think he's an Ohio State guy. But Utah definitely.
I said TikTok.
Oh, TikTok guy. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no, he's I don't want to sound mean, but he's kind of special. So he
gotcha.
So he gets a lot of.
It's great content. It's great content.
Yeah.
Key Lewis as well says bolt TF up. Absolutely. Again, huge win. We'll talk about the ramifications of all of that in a second here. Tyler's mom, shout out as always with the
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you can see it right there on the spot.
Thanks, Mom.
I think we had one from your dad too later on. So I don't know if you want to yell at him too.
Thanks, Dad.
Incredible content. Brandon Roy as well. He says, crazy we can go from all hope lost last week to all the way back after this. I love it. Get healthy, get clean, and clean things up in the red zone. Love having a social media quarterback. So again, there was some news from Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport that we can get to at some point from this, but
please,
it does sound like the Chargers are getting healthier. Tyler mentioned Donald Parham. Joey Bosa potentially coming back, pretty soon here, returning to practice this week. So I think there's a chance that we see him play at least limited snaps here against the Titans, which would be, huge. The pass rush showed up in some key moments tonight, but definitely need him back. Tom Pelissero saying that Joey Bosa has looked great in personal workouts lately. And obviously, we're excited to potentially see him back. And again, I think that makes this win that much more crucial.
100%.
Because Joey Bosa, coming back and actually matter in a win-loss column and really help this team in a playoff push.
Yeah, it's huge. I thought that December was the return for him. And so I guess this is kind of on track. But as we had heard from Staley leading up to really today, he's a ways away. We'll see. Status quo. All these quotes. So I didn't expect Joey Bosa. All of a sudden he's going to be practicing this week. I mean, that's enormous. And the secondary has really figured it out over the last few weeks. I mean, we'll talk about them as a stud or whatever, but holy crap, the secondary is playing so well. In theory, they're getting Jordan back, as well. If Joey Bosa's back, I mean, I really thought after hearing that news that we would go the direct Chargers route. The next obvious thing was the Chargers would lose this game. and then we just get these players back and it wouldn't mean anything. But they
Right.
won. And so it just means so much, like you said. And potentially at the end of that report, too, Rashawn Slater is actually potentially a guy to come back before the season ends, not even just, into some late game in the postseason. So, hey, all good things today so far.
I'm sorry. What's with the Nacho fault comments today? I'm confused.
I guess the director sent some fans over just to, throw some comments in the chat. I appreciate all the support.
Cool. Yeah. Fantastic. We've had a ton of people in the chat tonight, so appreciate it.
Yes.
Was that? I'm assuming that was a reference he made. So, shout out to the director. Arjun, what were you saying?
No, I wanted to give a ton of credit to Brandon Staley because, again, the reason I was so low on the Chargers heading into this game, even with all the offensive guys back, was Staley didn't have like this. It didn't seem like he had a thing to like change a scheme week over week. It was like there was no adjustments. It was like either you execute or you don't. But I was really impressed because it seemed like he copied the 49ers scheme from last week. Press coverage, drop your linebackers super far back, make them take the underneath stuff because they beat teams on these 10-yard digs, these 10-yard ins. He adjusted his scheme while still keeping a lot of the fundamentals intact, and it worked. Like that is the sign that, he's a good head coach or he's a good defensive coach. I think, I think there's still some room for improvement. He was still a little bit aggressive going for it on fourth down multiple times in goal to go situations. But yeah, the defensive game plan was the best I've seen, not only this year, but in Staley's career, like head coaching career. Props to him for that. Michael Davis, great game. I don't really know if any defensive player had like that bad of a game. And Braden Fajoko, I thought was awesome in both the run game and in the pass rush.
Yeah. I guess do you happen to have the stats for any of these trench players yet, by chance?
I can send it to you. I gotta hop off to PFF right now.
Man, leave in a second. That's okay.
We'll catch each other on Twitter the rest of the week, guys. So if you ever need anything, just hit me up. But
we got all the receipts coming later. Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one, Arjun. Appreciate it.
See you.
All right. So kind of building off of his point, and we can certainly get to some of the other super chats here, but you want to talk about somebody's best performance, man. I thought Brandon Staley and his coaching staff, by far, this was their best performance on defense that we've seen in the last year and a half or so from the Chargers. I mean, again, the four of us gave them no chance to winning this game. I mean, especially when you don't have Derwin James in this game, you don't have Sebastian Joseph Day, Bryce Callahan, and the Chargers come out and, for the most part, largely erase this Miami Dolphins passing attack. Again, you had the one broken play on the fumble, which was insane. Michael Davis trips on Tyreek Hill's feet. Outside of that, man, outside of those two big plays, the Chargers defense was completely nails tonight, and they deserve a ton of credit. Again, just the way that they were able to come through and really pounce on this Miami Dolphins defense, I thought was fantastic. Very reminiscent of the Steelers game last year. Obviously, the Steelers were nowhere near close to what the Miami Dolphins have done, but just being undermanned and executing at this high of level. I mean, even Kenneth Murray had some fantastic plays in coverage tonight. Obviously, wish we would have been able to come down with that one interception, but I mean, everybody was flying around and making high level plays, and there wasn't really a ton of like explosive plays from the Chargers defense. Like it wasn't like they just had two turnovers or just some weird missed field goal or something like that. Like play in and play out. I think this was the best defensive performance we've seen from the Chargers since Brandon Staley has been hired.
Yeah, if you look at the total team stats for the Dolphins, if you take that 60-yard touchdown away, which that happens in some games sometimes, but they had 159 yards. You take that touchdown away, and 40 of those yards came on that final drive where the Chargers were just giving them anything over the middle to run out the clock. I mean, they, like you said, it wasn't just a great half, a great even three quarters. Like they played legitimately great defense and suffocated this Miami offense. That was very good. This is a top 5 offense, or at least top 10 offense. Maybe there's some, banged up injuries here and there, but this is a very, very good offense. And the Chargers, I believe, have not beaten a winning team or a team with a winning record all year. And for them to do it shorthanded, like who would have thought? No Derwin James, no Bryce Callahan, hold the Dolphins to really 3 points. I know it won't actually be that for this defense, but
Yeah.
I can't think of a better defensive performance from Brandon Staley's defense his entire tenure. And, maybe it's a one-off thing. Maybe it's just a really good game plan that you kind of, mimicked from another team. Maybe it's because you're facing Tua on a very off night. But, I mean, listen, the Chargers, they couldn't get past 23 points today, which wasn't great on offense. It was enough, obviously, but it was enough. Like your defense did more than enough. Unfortunately, they were so unlucky, but they did enough tonight. And Justin Herbert was allowed to be great, and he didn't have to do too much, I never thought. And it just really showed a really balanced win for this team. It was, man, like this defense came to play, and I've been very critical of Brandon Staley, and I have to, sandwiching, he was my stud of the game against the 49ers. Then there were some really bad performances, but he's got to be, a stud today, or at least we have to give him a lot of praise today because that was an exceptional performance. And his defensive tackles are having fun on social media right now. I'll say that much.
Hell yeah, they are. Sebastian Joseph Day, Brain Fehoko, calling a whole lot of people out, and I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
Phoenix Flame also pointed out, this is really like the true first time where we've seen like a signature Brandon Staley defensive moment that was consistent all the way throughout. Because I mean, you go up against the 49ers in that situation and you lose a lot of injuries within that game, but you still had some, meat on that bone, and it wasn't super consistent from play one to the end of the game. Tonight was that case. Like up until the very end of this game, the Chargers defense was out there. They were battling their asses off. They were executing at a high level. Michael Davis, Asante Samuel Jr., Jossier Taylor were constantly in the right position to make plays on the football. And Alohi Gilman and Nasir Adderley played very well in spot duty as well. I mean, this is two players that I've been very critical of. I thought Alohi Gilman had some fantastic plays. It's a damn shame that Tyreek Hill scored on that play because that was such a fantastic forced fumble by Alohi Gilman and potentially could have, again, changed that game. So, I mean, the Chargers secondary has been much maligned this year. The Chargers run defense has been much maligned this year. So has Brandon Staley. And for them to show up in this moment on Sunday Night Football against a legitimate top 5 offense and hold them down the way they did, they deserve a massive hat tip. And it frankly saved the Chargers season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I really didn't expect this. Everyone was betting on the over for any of Tua's. I mean, nobody had, again, if you delete that 60-yard touchdown that was a trip, nobody had 85 yards of passing offense for Tua this game. And yes, he was off. Like, he was definitely off. It wasn't like a perfect game from him. There were plays I'm sure he'd want back. But the defense played so, like, these DBs, man. It's so weird to think that, and I wish we had seen more of JC Jackson, but I mean, dude, since then, like these 3 DBs, and then obviously, Derwin, safety's been hit or miss, but these corners are playing so freaking well. And then you see Jaw Taylor come out and have what seems like a very good game. I mean, I didn't see anything, awful. He's second on the team in tackles this game, or at least in total tackles. It just speaks to the coaching in the secondary, at least this game, the plan that they had. It was a real privilege to watch it. And Michael Davis, man, like we can't say enough at this point. He's going to have the 60-yard touchdown on his numbers, which really sucks. Yeah. But the dude's only allowing 20 yards, 30 yards max per game since he really took over as a starter. He's legitimately playing good football. And Asante Samuel Jr. and Michael Davis, like, are either of them corner ones right now? No, but they're both really good corner twos for you. And if you can go toe-to-toe with, Tyreek Hill, granted he was a bit hobbled, Jalen Waddle and these guys, and this passing offense that was supposed to be so good, if you can go toe-to-toe with those guys, I mean, and props to them, seriously. Like, the DBs have really saved this season, even though they're 7-6. These guys are playing lights out football right now, and it's really awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they were obviously Asante had the one pass interference. I think Michael Davis had the one, illegal contact, which I thought both of those were, pretty soft, ticky-tacky penalties. They played fantastic and, like I said, consistently in the right position to make plays on the football. There was that one target to Jalen Waddle on kind of a deep over, and Asante Samuel Jr. cut it off beautifully.
Oh yeah.
And if Tua makes an on-target throw right there, that's an interception by Asante Samuel Jr. without a doubt. And again, there were some other plays where Tua was just consistently off in terms of allowing his receivers to be in a position to track the ball. But, credit to the Chargers for being in consistent position. Michael Davis had 2 or 3 great times where he would, use the sideline as that extra defender,
Exactly.
essentially forcing, the Dolphins receiver out of bounds. I thought those two played fantastic tonight and, definitely deserve it. A lot of credit tonight. And Morgan Fox,
Dude,
that third quarter sack that he had,
huge.
I think really was a momentum swinging point for the Chargers because that took the Dolphins out of field goal range. It took them out of range of potentially going for it on 4th down. And again, really saved the Chargers on that particular possession. So I've said this before, man. Morgan Fox has been incredible this season. I think he is one of the best free agent signings of any team in the offseason in the NFL, just consistently bringing pressure, winning, and obviously, setting a career high in pressures and sacks this year. So, Morgan Fox is just a fantastic addition to this team.
He's been awesome. He's been so good, especially with all these injuries. We just talked about him, but let's keep talking about him again. Like that sack, like you said, for whatever reason, like his straight line pass rush, he just gets to the quarterback. There doesn't seem to be like these missed opportunities for him. Like if he gets there, he's gonna get there and he's gonna get the quarterback. And it was huge for this team today. He's been awesome. Like you said, has to be one of the best free agent signings of the offseason, except his competition is the other guy, Bryce Callahan, who didn't play, but is another guy who's been one of the best free agent signings. And these were 2 signings that happened after the draft. I mean, geez, you see Telesco finally kind of break character a bit. And granted, it was a Brandon Staley signing. They go get some guys after the draft because they knew they have some needs. And poof, what would the season be like if they had been complacent and not gotten Morgan Fox, not went out of their way to get Bryce Callahan, or even Kyle Van Noy, who tonight had a very good game himself.
Yeah.
The Chargers would have lost the game tonight if Telesco didn't, or again, Brandon Staley didn't go out and make those moves. Wish they'd done the same thing at right tackle because we, might be a bit better on offense right now. But still, like that, Morgan Fox stepping up in huge ways. Arjun said Braden Fehoko as well. I think he had a pressure this game. I think he's got 2 pressures on the season now.
Let's go.
Cranking up those pressures. What was his tweet tonight? It was like, "Give me a Acho, come down to the stage."
He said he tweeted at Acho and was like, "Come up to the stage."
Bum.
Yeah, just you knew he had that saved in the drafts and had it ready to go for the second he got into the locker room.
I don't think he's ever sprinted in his life, but I think he sprinted to the locker room and just hit send on that one. He was ready. My goodness.
Oh man, I hope guys like Keenan and Derwin and the guys that are like actually active on social media just kind of go off tonight. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers already posted like a clown show video or whatever. Yeah.
You knew the Chargers social media was gonna go off tonight. Oof. That Peaky Blinders clip that they posted this morning. I know the Chargers obviously haven't been like a great franchise, but the social media team continues to get dubs on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Arjun sent in some pressure stats in the chat if you want to talk about those, or I can just read it off. Up to you.
How long ago did he send them? I keep scrolling and I don't see him.
Oh, in our DMs.
Oh, in our DMs. Okay. Yeah, you want to read them off?
Sure. So in terms of the Chargers pass rushers, I don't think he's including linebackers here. Khalil Mack 4, Morgan Fox 3, Rumpf, Kyle Van Noy each had 2. And then I don't see one for Fehoko. I don't see one for like Tranquil, who definitely had a pressure. So I think that's just not linebackers. And then in terms of pass or pressures given up, Serrell had 7, Sawyer had 4, Filer 3, Zion 2. Lindsley isn't listed, so I'm guessing Lindsley had 0. I know he was beat by Wilkins, but I think that was a run play.
Yeah, it was a run play. Yeah.
So nothing for Lindsley, 2 for Zion, 3 Filer, 4 Sawyer, 7 for Serrell, and it certainly felt like that.
I think the Chargers in the offseason did a lot of smart things, but that right tackle spot still consistently just drives me crazy because, like, imagine if Trey Pipkins had not gone and trained with Duke Manyweather. Like, imagine where they would be at right tackle if Trey had not finally developed, and it would just be a disaster. So hopefully Trey can come back next week. It'd be huge to keep him healthy for the final 4 weeks. So, they desperately need him back. In the offseason, I think you absolutely give Trey an extension, and I'm signing a veteran swing tackle immediately.
Yeah. Yep. But, Will
We'll
it
see what
happen?
happens there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. All right, let's get to some of these other super chats too. I obviously am having a hard time scrolling up all the way to find some of them. Appreciate the spamming of the chat again. We'll start with the most recent one, El Ron Hoya Bembe. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. He said, "Bolt up, gentlemen. Appreciate all you guys do." Tyler, the South Park clip you retweeted made me piss my pants laughing.
Oh yeah, that was from Charger Chat, and they posted a bunch of it was a South Park clip. They all jump into the water and stab all the dolphins. So I thought that was perfect. I laughed so hard. That was so funny.
The gentlemen over at Charters Chat do fantastic work on social media. So
for sure,
they're consistently crushing it over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see if I can scroll up to find the recent one. Did your mom do another super sticker?
I don't think.
Or is that just because the amount it lasts?
It just stays up there for a bit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna get to Christian Hernandez's, and then if you can find some, that'd be great. So
yeah.
Christian Hernandez says no reason we shouldn't win the next 4 games, and so this is kind of a good point, I think, to talk about where the Chargers sit in the playoff race. Obviously, again, huge win tonight to save their season, in my opinion. Really kind of putting them into the playoff conversation. Jets have lost back-to-back games as well, which has really kind of kept the door open for the Chargers. So as it currently stands, the Chargers are the 7 seed. If the Patriots win tomorrow, they would be the 7 seed, but obviously we would be tied. The Patriots have a better conference record at this point. However, the Patriots do have a very difficult schedule down the stretch, and obviously they don't have Justin Herbert. So Chargers have obviously the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. So the last few weeks have really kind of changed this. I mean, the Titans have not really looked particularly great in any really phase of the game. I mean, Derrick Henry had 120 yards today, and it was not even a close game at all. So the Titans have some injuries on defense as well. How are you feeling about the Titans game now? Because I know that's in the past been a game where all 4 of us have really kind of, given some pause to, obviously, given Derrick Henry in the way that the Chargers run defense has kind of progressed throughout the season.
I mean, I do feel better about the game. At this point, I will pick the Chargers to win that game because of what you saw tonight. Even if it was a close one, but they lost, I would probably still pick the Chargers to win. I do worry about the Titans because they kind of are a bad-ish team that suddenly gets coached to being the 1 seed some years. It's crazy, but I just don't see them being super complete right now and doing enough. Not that the Chargers are super complete either, but it seems like you're building on this performance and you're getting a lot of guys back. And when you have, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, who onside kick, notwithstanding, I just feel better about it. Like Herbert looks fine enough, healthy enough. I feel good about the game, and I think the run defense will be okay, but we'll see. But again, like you said, Henry's been putting up good numbers, and that's all they got. That's all they got. Now the Titans can't go get a lead. The Chargers were playing today with a lead, I think, the entire game. But the Titans can't go out and get a 10-0 lead. But I feel good about the game. But it is the big one.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, like if you can slow him down, obviously I don't think a team is really going to completely, hold him back, unless your run defense is just like incredible. But they don't really have anything else on offense that really scares you. I mean, they don't really have a great passing attack. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill has his limits. They don't really have a great receiver group. Treylon Burks has certainly made some strides after coming back from injured reserve, but Robert Woods leads them in targets, and he's on pace for like 700 yards receiving. So it's just not a very talented receiver room. So I think that could make things a little easier for the Chargers in terms of kind of loading up the box against Derrick Henry. And again, depending on kind of what happens with the Titans' injuries on defense, this could be another really good spot for Justin Herbert in the offense, especially if they can get Donald Parham back, and that would really help in the red zone. So I feel like I said heading into this week, I felt better about the Titans game than I did the Dolphins game because of this fact, because you really just have to stop Derrick Henry, or at least not get like completely cooked by him, and you should be relatively okay. So we'll see what happens there. The final 3 games, obviously, you're talking about 3 very, very winnable games. We'll see what kind of happens with the Rams and Baker Mayfield over the next couple of weeks. But then again, you have to go to Denver and win that game, and that's
Yeah.
probably another win, and you're in situation for the Chargers.
Yeah, I was, again, kind of bummed going into this game because you watch the Rams pull Baker out of obscurity and they beat the Raiders. Granted, thank you, Jerry Tillery, for that one. And then you watch the Broncos today. That doesn't look like a team that's ready to die. And, they say like they're going to keep fighting. And the idea of Denver still wanting to fight and shoot, like they even scored more than, 17 points of offense today going to Denver. Like they looked like very difficult, not difficult. Denver will be difficult. The Rams, not so much, but more difficult than I expected. You think at this point in the season, Denver's officially not going to the playoffs now. And I believe the Rams are officially out as well. But two teams that over this past week look like they're really fighting still. So again, I think the Chargers will be winning those games if they can stay healthy, but not easy. Can't be easy. And it will be Staley versus McVay. So you never know what's going to happen in that game.
Sorry, I was just checking to see if Brandon Staley had given any updates or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers posted this tweet of, it was two pictures, right? Two next to each other. One says Chargers fans touch here, and then it's like a vertical screenshot. And it says, you are perfect just how you are. Stay positive. You're doing great, and all the blessings you need will come your way soon.
Yeah.
The second picture is Dolphins fans touch here. And then it's Justin Herbert holding up an L.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. They're firing off tweets, man. They have I'm sure over the next, every half an hour, they're going to have a tweet. They've been firing these on.
Absolutely. All right. Did you have any other super chats you wanted to get to?
Oh yeah. There's a few. Just want to make sure I acknowledge these. The director sent us, it's not Joe's fault. Thank you, director. I have no idea what this spam is. Thank you for making it so difficult to find the $1.99 super chat. This one's $10, so that makes it more. There you go. Unofficial, the director raid. It's not Joe's fault. Hey, I'll take it. You can say whatever you want. Send me money. From Johnny, am I tripping or did Chris Rumpf play well? Arjun said he had 2 pressures. That's good. I think that was, he showed up, I think, a couple of times today. I haven't seen him in a while. So that was nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say that he played well. He certainly played better than he has. I mean, he's getting in the right positions more consistently. I will say that. He's had the opportunity the past few weeks to get key tackles for loss and just hasn't been able to do that. So,
yeah,
I think he's playing better. That could be a sign that obviously he's getting healthier. But we'll see. The Chargers definitely need more out of him going down the stretch. They're going to need more out of him next year. Again, we'll see kind of what happens in the offseason with the pass rush, but they need Chris Rumpf to be a viable pass rusher. And so him getting 2 pressures tonight, I'll take that step forward.
Yeah, and I believe he was either occupying 2 players or was crashing or whatever to stop or get in the way of 2 players when Morgan Fox had that sack. So I think he was involved in that play at least. So that's good. George Contreras says, I thought the Dolphins were good. Their front 7 was pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll say that much. I thought their front 7 was, Wilkins, Jalen Phillips. I'm so happy that my priors were confirmed. Loved Wilkins. Of course, everybody did. Loved Jalen Phillips. Again, most people did outside of the injury concerns. And they played pretty well. The rushing game had nowhere to go. You could tell they were really keying in on some of these Herbert rollouts. Herbert was just freaking lights out. Yeah,
Jalen Phillips was really awesome tonight, both against the run and the pass. That roughing the passer call, man, might be one of the worst bad roughing the passer calls I've seen in my life. I almost am kind of glad that the Chargers didn't benefit from it because it was just truly one of the worst calls of my life.
Yeah, that was. We were on the next play. We weren't even. It was over. The Chargers were going 3 and out. They're ready to go to the next thing, and all of a sudden, the flag gets thrown, roughing the passer. Nothing. That was bad. But yes, they didn't. It didn't change anything unless you want to talk about the clock rundown, which I guess maybe that did change something, but didn't make a difference. But it was bad.
Yeah, I was really impressed with I forget his name, the slot corner, Hader Kahu, I think his name is. Thought that he was really good tonight. Unfortunately, again, really interested to see the film there and see kind of what happens with Keenan Allen, how he looks in that game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, keep scrolling through. Bolt up from Canada. Onside kick gave me a heart attack.
Boy, did it, man.
Appreciate what y'all do for this fan base. You are all beauties. Well, thank you. Cheers. Yeah. The onside kick was terrible. It was, and I mean the kick itself, because it went right to Josh Palmer. I'm thinking, yes, not only did it go to Palmer, maybe it goes past him a little bit, but, like perfect. The Dolphins aren't going to get there. And then it doesn't. And I tweeted and I told you guys, like, I'm not making it to 30. This team is not going to allow me to live into my 30s because, I'm looking at my dad and he's like, oh, you guys are going to win. Yay. And I'm thinking, I look at him and I'm like, yeah, all we have to do is recover an onside kick and nobody ever does that, or nobody ever, botches that. And of course they botch it. But thank goodness for Nick Niemann.
Oh my gosh.
I immediately tweeted, hashtag Pro Bowl vote Nick Niemann because that was it. I don't know if the Dolphins would have scored, but I don't have to find out.
My heart exploded on that the bot snap too. I was like at the 4-yard line. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I was so stressed out about that one. And then the onsides kick, that went right to Palmer. I was like, okay, we got this in the bag. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I love that Nick Niemann got some flowers after that. Mike Tirico calling him one of the better special teams players on the teams. And that is accurate. I've been watching special teams tape more, throughout the season, trying to get a feel for what Ryan Ficken has been doing. Usually I just kind of skip forward, especially last year when the special teams were like so bad. I was great. Miss me with the PAT, miss me with the kickoff. Let's go forward next 2 plays.
Yeah.
But Nick Niemann is really focused. He's really done a fantastic job on special teams, making key blocks. Obviously, he's kind of the personal protector on the punt team.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a fantastic special teams player. And, if he keeps this up, 6th-round pick, getting one of the best special teams players in the league, I think is absolutely worth it. So the Chargers have consistently preached, like, hey, day 3 picks, you got to play special teams. Nick Niemann is kind of proven that. Joshua Taylor's had some great moments on special teams too. Obviously, he started tonight and played well, but I was glad that Nick Niemann got some flowers tonight because he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that, I think, as a core special teams player. And even when they switch to linebackers, they don't even really want him out there. He's just purely a special teams player for them. And he's had some plays this year for sure. And for him to, it's nice to see Ficken. Like when the Chargers just draft guys to play special teams, it kind of stinks usually in the past because you draft these guys to play special teams, but outside of like the one guy each year, you don't get much out of them. It's nice to see them both take guys to play special teams, and the special teams is good. Like Ficken's getting the most out of these guys as well. Would I prefer to right tackle? Sure. But I appreciate that at least if you're drafting guys to play special teams, at least it's good special teams.
Yeah, it's not like Nick DeZumnar, who's kind of just awful at special teams.
There was a time I wanted him back, though, because good Lord.
Sean Parmenter, Nick in more than flowers tonight. Am I right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'll send him my address and whatever, dude. That's what it takes to win.
Oh, man. All right. Any other super chats?
Yeah, we actually have a ways to go. Tara Romero, Primetime Herbert is a different animal. It was so nice to see Primetime Herbert because I feel like we've seen bits and pieces of him in the 2 primetime games, but now tonight was Primetime Herbert. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and normally I'm not like a huge fan of Chris Collinsworth, but I thought that he was really fantastic tonight. When talking about Justin Herbert exclusively, there were some other ones when he was like undisturbable or whatever. I was like, what the fuck is that? But he consistently highlighted Justin's pocket presence, and like Arjun mentioned, outside of the 1 sack he took from Eric Rowe, I thought this was a masterclass teach tape performance from Justin, within the pocket, moving and navigating pressure and consistently hitting throws downfield.
So just a quick update. Brandon Staley does say that Donald Parham will return next week.
Let's go.
I know.
That's huge. Honestly, like I'm so sick of watching Trey McKitty, man. I'm so sick of watching Trey McKitty.
Dude. Like I know sometimes on play action, like they're intentionally letting some guy through or whatever, but God, tonight,
sometimes it's really
he did catch a pass though. He did catch a pass today.
It's true.
Yeah. There was one where McKitty was open. I thought he could have been open for a touchdown, and Herbert was just like, no, I'll throw it anywhere else. So throwing to someone that does have chemistry with Herbert would just be, I mean, lights out. Pun intended, I guess.
And just activates a different part of their playbook as well. And red zone, intermediate parts of the field. He's just a different tight end that you can work with than what they have in Gerald Everett and obviously McKitty, Stone Smart, all that crowd.
Yeah. So I'm just going to fly through these super chats. Christian Hernandez, Staley, the defensive guru, showed up tonight. Yes, he did.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of hit on this one. So you want to get to the next one?
Yes. From Andrew Benke, it's fun to make fun of Emmanuel Acho. It's Nacho fault. It is his fault. I have Acho Libre as my handle right now, so I get you. We're on the same page.
Yeah, fits in. Absolutely.
From Christian Hernandez, what do you think of Alohi Gilman? Dude plays hard.
Man, shout out to Christian, sending a bunch of super chats tonight. Alohi Gilman, I'm cool with him as a starter. Frankly, I know what I'm getting out of him. I know that he's a little limited athletically, but he really gives it his all out there. He flies around, makes plays. I think he's a much better run defender than he's given credit for. So I'm cool with Alohi Gilman. Obviously, I know he has another year on his contract next year. And again, he just has a way of being in the right spot for turnovers. Seems like every other week he's kind of that guy that's forcing a turnover or receiving a turnover, if you want to say it that way. So I thought Alohi played good tonight. He's played good in moments when he started. So Alohi Gilman absolutely deserves a shout out.
I know. First, I mean, listen, credit to the Dolphins going, oh, Alohi Gilman's in. Okay, let's find a way to get Tyreek Hill on him immediately to start the game, and boop, pass broken up. Oh, okay. Had a good couple tackles in there. Obviously had the forced fumble that people are upset with him, celebrating that he forced the fumble. But like at that point, I get it. Like, sure, you want to go to the whistle blows, but I mean, I
assume he thought the ball was down, and,
right,
and understandably so. Like once Tyreek Hill got that ball out, like it was curtains, unfortunately, because everybody on the Chargers was like in that pile already.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily blame him. I think that's just kind of a freak accident, if you will.
Yeah. From Max Vega, this is probably the closest of a complete game for the Chargers this season.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
We got good moments from special teams. Defensive performance was fantastic. You see Justin Herbert play this kind of game. I absolutely think that is an accurate statement for me.
Sergeant Romano, I think our two best defensive games this year were Niners and Dolphins tonight. You think it has something to do with Shane Day having the inside scoop, being of the Shanahan coaching tree?
I think that could certainly play a role, but I mean, Staley also spent a year with Sean McVay, who's kind of one of the key architects of the Shanahan coaching tree. So I would say that's more than having Shane Day there. So, again, Brandon Staley, him taking what the 49ers did to the Dolphins and kind of replicating it, was not something I was really expecting to see, because obviously the Chargers don't have Fred Warner, the Chargers don't have Nick Bosa, but he was able to really kind of apply what he was able to do, press man coverage, drop the linebackers deep. And his game plan tonight was excellent. His best game plan of the season, in my opinion.
Okay, hold on. I gotta bring this up if my internet will let me. Can you still hear me? Am I frozen?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, hold on. My computer froze, but you can all still hear me. That's fantastic. Well, I'm still here.
Are you trying to share something?
Yeah, I was going to try to share my screen on Twitter. Emmanuel Acho, there's a picture of him holding social media analyst photo that a fan made in the stands.
Oh, that's the Brisket Broads. Okay. Yeah, I saw that they had that sign. Here, I'll put it up on my phone.
Cool.
There you go. He says a night in enemy territory until we meet again, Chargers fans. So he has not tweeted anything else other than that. So it's kind of lame, but is what it is.
Yeah. I'm still frozen. So, I'm just going to be chilling here. Or not frozen. You're frozen. I guess I'm still here. Am I moving?
Yeah, you're definitely moving. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. I can hear you just fine. My computer's just, I don't know what's going on, but you just let me know. I'll just talk to you. Go through the super chats.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll kind of wrap up today's show and just kind of, go from there. Obviously you've been here for 50 minutes already. So again, appreciate everybody in here. If this is your first time watching the show, hopefully you guys can stick around, subscribe, and, hopefully you enjoy that. So we will do studs and duds. We'll have some final thoughts as well. And then if there's other super chats, we'll hit those. But let's start with studs and duds. Tyler, I'll give you the first chance here. Stud of the day, or I guess of the evening for you.
I mean, where do I begin? I feel like I always take a slightly different route, and I try to avoid Justin Herbert because I feel like it's the easy one. I have to go with Justin Herbert, though, man. Like, this was national stage, and like everyone was watching this game, not just because it was a primetime thing, but all the narratives heading into this week, and we all thought the Chargers were going to most of us thought the Chargers were going to lose. And for him to go out there and put up a great game, I think I saw a picture that Staley gave him the game ball, of course. The team would have 0 points without him. There's nothing about anything here that shows me that they can win with Chase Daniel or Easton Stick or even put up more than 7 points. He was like on accident too. Yeah. He was fantastic. He was incredible. One of my favorite performances of his for sure. I loved watching him play football today. You can tell that he's a different tier of quarterback than certain other quarterbacks. Good for him. He looked happy. You know, they didn't score a ton of points, but he looked like he was having fun. He was fired up. Loved it. Herbert's my stud of the day. Easy one for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times we try and be, give some love in this segment to some players who don't necessarily get a ton. And I think that's the right approach in certain times. When we could spend every episode talking about what Justin Herbert does well, right? And this week in particular, like I said, one of my favorite performances of his career, just handling the pressure, the way he maneuvered the pocket, consistently hitting throws that just were absurd throws. I mean, the whole social media quarterback kind of came about because Emmanuel Acho would always talk about like his arm strength down the field. But you look at like that throw to Keenan Allen on the sideline where he just, pins it right there. Doesn't even give the defender a chance to make that play. I mean, Herbert showed off all the tools tonight: pocket awareness, the deep ball to Mike Williams, the accuracy in the short term. We saw him check out of 3 or 4 plays when the Dolphins were in cover 0 looks. We saw the whole bag from Justin Herbert tonight, and I think he absolutely deserves all of the love that he's getting. Hopefully anybody who wrote articles about him being not that good, or I don't know if he has improved this much as we saw from Booger before the game today. Hopefully you watch this game and you'll watch this tape back and really see how Justin Herbert has improved over the years and what kind of player he is. And I also was laughing earlier. The Bengals did not have T. Higgins tonight, and Tyler Boyd left early, and they started to struggle. And then it's like, oh man, like Joe Burrow doesn't have all his guys. It's almost like having a supporting cast fucking matters. So annoying how people are like,
and he's still on Jamar Chase.
He's still on Jamar Chase. Like, try throwing to DeAndre Carter as wide receiver 1 for 4 weeks of the season. Like, my God, give me a break. So anybody who had shit takes about Herbert today, I hope you're kicking rocks, because it was ridiculous all week long, the Herbert narratives that were happening, and I'm glad he popped off tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It was all sweet. Yeah, it's amazing to see what happens when other quarterbacks don't have their weapons. And like throwing to the punt returner all game is difficult for your offense. Also, when you have cracked ribs and half your line is hurt, that's difficult.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker
amazing.
How that works out. And that's even before we get to the rib injury that's been, hampering him all season.
So. Oh, yeah. Oh, that thing. Yeah. No, I'm ready for the Dolphins excuses for sure. Like there were Dolphins fans already saying that they were more hurt than the Chargers were. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, I don't think a team has ever been more hurt than the Chargers were right now.
Yeah. 2 graphics that you can point to. Chargers have lost the most wins above replacement of any team in the league. And then there's also the banged up score that Fox does, where the Chargers are clearly last. And if you look at all the other teams who are in kind of like that bottom 5, they all suck. And the Chargers are 7-6, and it's almost exclusively because of Justin Herbert and obviously some key special teams moments, turnovers along the way. So just was, again, very frustrating week for Justin Herbert and social media for me as somebody who really loves what he has done this season. All right, my stud of the day. I could go in a few different directions. I feel like I've given a good amount of love to Michael Davis. I think you could certainly make an argument for him. I think you could certainly make an argument for Brandon Staley for stud of the day. We haven't talked a ton about Mike Williams tonight, and so I'm going to go Mike Williams for my stud of the night. That jump ball that he had on the sideline was just crazy. I mean, being able to kind of work over Xavier Howard, and Xavier Howard's a good corner. I know he's having a down season for his standards. But Mike Williams consistently showed up in key moments. I mean, the way that they used him was, I thought, much more indicative of the way that you should use Mike Williams. You're talking about slants, deep overs, deep posts. We saw the return of the play action boot, throwback to the other side to Mike Williams, which when we were watching that, Brooke goes, I fucking love that play. Let's go. So it was fun. And Mike Williams, obviously he had the touchdown as well. So you see the offense be different when Mike Williams is out there. And, obviously we saw Keenan Allen come back and help things get going. But when Mike Williams is out there, I think there's just another gear that Herbert can take this offense to, even with subpar play calling, and he just really trusts Mike Williams, and that's something that we've seen consistently over the 2 years kind of grow. So I do want to give Mike Williams some love here, so I'll give him my stud of the day.
Yeah, I mean, there's, other than maybe Donald Parham, there's literally nobody else on the team that would make the touchdown catch. Like Josh Palmer is not tall enough and cannot jump as high and does not make those catches. Obviously DeAndre Carter, Michael Bandy's not making that catch in the back of the end zone. You can only throw that to one wide receiver on this team.
Yeah.
And you can probably only throw, that play action shot that they have, the deep over. You can only really do that with Mike Williams. And, if it's only 3 plays a game that he can help out the team, he did more than that tonight, but it's 3 plays that they just didn't have. Like you said, there's another gear. There's just special plays. Josh Palmer has been a good receiver for the team, but he doesn't always have like those special plays that like, he can't do what Mike Williams can do. And frankly, nobody can. Like he's just been phenomenal with these contested catches so far. Yeah. Love what Mike Williams did. I don't know how many studs we're doing today. I do want to get to Keenan Allen as well. Not because he, we saw him, beat people off the line and have a great game, but on that final drive, he had 4 catches, 3 of them for first downs. Like at the end of the day, that's where Herbert was looking. And Keenan Allen got them, 3 first downs, had 4 catches on that final drive that only resulted in a field goal. But, they took 8.5 minutes off the clock because Keenan was just in sync in some way with Justin Herbert, and it was enough to help them win that game. So I think both of them combined had about 200 yards together. I mean, that's what we've been missing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that drive at the end, it was so close to being like very clearly the best drive of the Chargers offensive season.
Yeah.
And obviously Keenan really spurned a lot of that. So Mike Williams ended up 6 catches, 116 yards, 1 touchdown on 6 targets. So he caught all of his targets, which is fantastic. Keenan Allen, 12 catches, 92 yards on 14 targets. So great performances from those two. Austin Eckler also had 59 yards receiving on 8 catches. Josh Palmer, 4 catches, 53 yards. So, the Chargers are definitely missing a speed threat, and obviously Jalen Guyton is not on the team. But this is what you get when you have these key players all out there at the same time. So I thought you really saw the Chargers passing attack come alive tonight, and still left some meat on the bone like we've talked about with the play calling.
Absolutely.
So dud of the day. I mean, I don't necessarily have a big one. I don't know if I really want to like dunk on Foster Sorrell at this point. I feel bad for the guy.
Now you come around to where I was. Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy. Like he's an undrafted free agent out here, like, in a situation where the team just like does not believe in Storm Norton or anybody else. So
yeah,
I guess if you're talking about players, like that's your dud of the day, but I don't know if I really want to like actually anoint him that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair. And he certainly, who do you get to face? Okay, Nick Bosa, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips.
My God.
Like, there hasn't really been like a cakewalk, opportunity for him. So no, not really. I would say Matt Filer. He got killed on the screen.
Oh, on the screenplay, Jerome Baker lit him up, man.
Yeah, that was rough. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 penalties, I believe. One was the false start. One was the block in the back. One forced a 3rd and 10. One, took them out of, the sync of their drive. Filer hasn't been great, and we can definitely see if we're keeping Michael Davis, we know where the cut's going to go.
Yeah, and I think that's the right decision. I mean, the cliff for offensive linemen really hits once you're past 30, and we've seen some very unique offensive tackles like Andrew Whitworth and Trent Williams kind of, make that not a thing, but Matt Filer has taken a pretty big step back this year. So
yeah,
I think that absolutely is a fair dud. I think you can make an argument here again for Joe Lombardi that we've talked about. Just consistently, making these very poor red zone calls. Like I think it's just
Yeah.
It's really frustrating to watch them do one target to the end zone, and it was because Justin Herbert went off script. So,
Yeah.
Joe Lombardi, it was not as bad as last week. I think
No.
certain people could probably, twist that into him being, better this week. I still think he's just, it's frustrating to watch. Like, I'm going to go back and watch this film on Tuesday night probably, and just be really frustrated at the missed opportunities that they left out there from the screens and from the swing passes and the, consistently calling plays after or behind the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to say Joe Lombardi, dud of the day. Although, as Chris points out, that Wildcat play was fantastic. Definitely do more of that.
I did.
I'm not expecting that at all.
When do you pull guys aside from practice? They're like, okay, Herbert, you're going to receiver. Eckler's running the Wildcat. And I think he had the option to like either pitch it to Kelly.
No, it was like a zone read essentially. He could either have handed it off to Kelly, or Eckler could take it. I'm glad Eckler took it because he got like 12 yards on it. So
it
was fantastic play call in that very unique situation. But
yeah, and one more stud. It would really just be the fourth down calls. Two ones that I absolutely agreed with. Wait, didn't they get? I thought they went for it and got two. Didn't they get two?
They went for it on the first drive and missed, and then they went for it on fourth down and scored the touchdown.
Okay,
Eckler scored the touchdown, and then was there a third?
I thought they made two tonight, but I guess not. It must have been like a critical third down or something. Never mind. But anyway, the point is, it just feels like them going for it on fourth down really kind of sparks his team just a bit, and it paid off. Chargers won by 6.
Yeah, they were 1 for 2. So,
okay.
Another key stat before we kind of jump out of here: Dolphins were 3 for 11 on third down, which has been a huge problem for the Chargers. So their defense really stepped up big in that moment, and the Chargers were 9 for 18. So they really had some very key third down conversions. You mentioned a couple to Keenan Allen. 9 for 18 on third downs, man. That can win you a lot of games. So definitely deserve a lot of love for the way that both sides of the ball executed on third downs.
Yeah, that has to be the best of the season for the defense there. 3rd for 11. And I kept waiting for the bad thing to happen, the bad third down thing to happen. Really didn't.
I know. At halftime, after the Chargers went 3-and-out, I was like, "Oh, great, here we go! Like this is going to be one of those games." But the Chargers defense, man, they just kept on coming back at the Dolphins, and
they did.
If the defense can play like this and get Joey Bosa back in the next few weeks, like I think we can really start to see the vision of Brandon Staley's defense come together, and really get after them in the pass rush again. If Joey Bosa can come back. The effort and the execution tonight, like there were no real execution errors. There weren't. Like this was really the first time where there wasn't like a miscommunication or a blown coverage, or somebody didn't fill the right way in a run stop. Like I thought that they were very clean in their operation, really for the first time since Joey Bosa got injured in week 3.
Yeah.
So again, Brandon Staley, Ronaldo Hill, the whole defensive staff, all of the players on defense deserve so much credit for this, because if this had been, last week's effort for defense or the week before that, I think the Chargers do end up losing this game in a close one. So I think the Chargers defense deserves so much credit tonight.
Yeah, they do. And you could just go down the list of players on defense who showed up. And I really haven't been able to do that in a while. Even in games where defense is okay, or they win, I haven't been able to go through and say, oh, okay, John Taylor, Asante Samuel Jr., Louis Gilman, Kyle Van Noy, Michael Davis, Braden Fajoko, Morgan Fox. Like so many guys stepped up today, and it really did feel like you said, just a really complete performance from this defense.
2 passes defended from Michael Davis, 2 passes defended from Drew Tranquill, one from Asante Samuel Jr., one from Alohi Gilman. You had 4 QB hits, which isn't great, but it's better than it's been for a while.
Yeah.
2 QB sacks as well. You forced Tua to really escape from the pocket, which he's not super great at, not super comfortable in that situation. So again, defense played well. You can make a big argument for Josh Taylor being, one of the studs of the game as well in his first career start. As Brian points out in the chat, fantastic in run defense tonight. So I was excited to see him. He certainly had a couple rookie moments. I think there was a miscommunication against Trent Sherfield on an over, but I thought Jaw Taylor was really solid tonight for them.
Yeah, and that's huge. I'm not in the territory of, okay, we can move to Jaw Taylor to the starting slot position and go ahead and move on from Bryce Callahan. I'm definitely not there yet. As long as Callahan is fine and healthy, I'm bringing him back. But you feel really good with him just kind of waiting in the wings. Like maybe he's not ready just yet, but he got his feet wet a bit. You see good things from him at practice. During the offseason, you see great things from him on the field. That feels nice to have a few more years of this player that you can develop and be the heir apparent to someone like Bryce Callahan.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'm so glad that they were able to put this one together. This podcast sounds so much differently than it did a week ago. And, I really let that Raiders loss fester for like most of the week. Just was really frustrated at that time. But again, this win for the Chargers was huge, monumental. Just from a playoff chance percentage, according to 538, if they had lost tonight, the Chargers would have had an 8% chance of making the playoffs. Now that they won, they have a 59% chance of making the playoffs, a near 60% chance of making the playoffs. They currently have the Jets at 37 and the Patriots at 25. So I know that there's going to be don't get too excited, don't get too riled up. This was a huge moment for the Chargers, and Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert, everybody deserves so much credit for the way that they played tonight. Again, saving the season for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure might have saved some jobs as well. It was great to see. I'm so happy the Chargers pulled this out. Our podcast isn't dead. Like it was like Christmas break was coming up for me. No more school, no more UCI, all that. Okay, I was going to start watching draft prospect film.
Same.
Would have to at some point, but hey, for another week, we've survived. On to the Titans.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth of like trying to embrace the team and the way that they've just kind of been like survive in advance almost in these games, and everything's not pretty. Tonight I thought was a great performance, mostly very complete all around. So very pleased with this team right now. Again, completely different tune than this was last week. And Brandon Staley deserves a lot of credit for having his back against the wall, getting this team right, all of these injuries. I mean, imagine if we could go back, even just like 2 days ago and said, hey, Chargers are not going to have Derwin James tonight or on Sunday night. They're not going to have Sebastian Joseph Day. They're not going to have Bryce Callahan. Obviously, Joey Bosa is gone for, many, many weeks. And they're going to hold the Dolphins to really 10 points. Like I'm not going to go as far as like 3 points, but really 10 points. And you're talking about Tua going, under 200 yards passing. Like it's just a remarkable performance tonight. And again, hopefully this is a performance that can really, give the Chargers some momentum to close out the season, because it's just been such a frustrating season. But if they can really kick it on over those last 4 weeks, it's going to be fun to watch, hopefully. So again, have to build on this. This is not just a game where you're like, okay, like we're good. If they can build on this, I think we'll really look at this win in a few weeks from now and talk about it being a really turning point for this season.
I would love for this to be the turning point of the season, especially with guys getting healthy. After the Chiefs game, was pretty out on this coaching staff. And again, the Chargers can win games like this. It's the letdown that follows something like this. Didn't even happen last year. Let's go beat the Texans. Yeah, no problem. Oh, you're out of the playoffs. You have to go to an AFC West road game to get into the playoffs. Oh, you lose. So I do need to see this coaching staff. They basically need to get to the playoffs for me to have my returned faith in them. But something like this, whether it's just Justin Herbert, whether it's just a couple of players, this being their turnaround point of the season, I think is awesome. If it is. So if they can build on this, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Appreciate the director for sending some people over here. He's doing great work over on his channel, so go check him out. If this was your first time watching the show, again, please subscribe. Hopefully you continue to stick around here. So the chat was popping tonight. We had more people in the live stream than we've had in many, many weeks. So appreciate everybody for sticking around this time.
Yeah, no, seriously, the support and you guys, I just love everyone's. Winning is so much more fun. Come
It's
on,
so much more
it's
fun.
so much more fun to win, dude. It's great for my wallet, but also great just to have like positive things to talk about. I don't want to see this team lose again. Like if I wasn't moving, I would have been there tonight. Which of course I missed that game. But like I want this team to win, and everyone in the chat's so happy. Like this is what I want. This is what I wanted the season to be. If it keeps going, awesome. I'm here for the inevitable loss that I feel like is coming somewhere that's built into the season still. But for right now, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, like Arjun said to start, vindication, I think, for the entire fan base, again, after the week that the media had, trying to victory lap on Justin Herbert.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing him and, getting this win was fantastic. So, again, that's going to do it for us today, guys. If you are listening to the audio version of this, please leave a rating or review. We do really appreciate that support as well. So that's going to do it. We'll see you next time.